We finally have some good news here for single people who, let's face it, have been constantly shit on in society throughout the ages. People look at them as like, ooh, you must be defective. Why don't you have a partner? So The Independent explains here, being single allows people to, quote, live their best, most authentic, and most meaningful lives, and the idea of wedded bliss is largely a myth, a psychologist has claimed. Professor Bella DePaulo told the American Psychological Association's annual convention in Denver that she wanted to challenge the conventional wisdom that getting married helped people live longer, happier, and healthier lives. She looked at more than 800 different academic studies carried out over the last 30 years that mention single people. Quote, the available findings are telling. Research comparing people who have stayed single with those who have stayed married shows that single people have a heightened sense of self-determination, and they are more likely to experience a sense of continued growth and development as a person. Now, here are my favorite quotes from the researcher. The preoccupation with the perils of loneliness can obscure the profound benefits of solitude. And here's another one. Married people were bolstered by the relentless celebration of marriage and coupling and weddings that I call matrimania. Single people, in contrast, are targets of singleism, the stereotyping, stigmatizing, marginalizing, and discrimination against people who are single. Okay, now, for that last part, I'd reel it in just a tad. The idea, like, I'm a single dude. Do I feel like, oh, society hates me so much? No, it's not that extreme. But you do feel the occasional snub of like, oh, you're single? Especially when you're like, I'm a 28-year-old male. The default position for so many people is like, oh, you're gay. No, dude, I'm not gay. I'm just single. So yes, there are some assumptions. And to be fair, there is a certain kind of discrimination in that you get all kinds of tax breaks from the government if you're married and if you have kids. If you're a single person, they're like, yeah, no, we don't like your lifestyle, so fuck off. Well, that is discrimination. Now, I wouldn't, lump it in with certain kinds of discrimination that's way worse, whether it's against transgender people or whether in the United States it's against Jews or against Muslims or whatever it is. So it's not horrific, but it exists there. And they're saying, well, your whole paradigm is wrong. Basically, what she's saying is it's cultural brainwashing to believe that, well, obviously being married is better. Like, no, that's just how we've done it for a while. And in terms of the benefits of it, when you look at it objectively, really not that many. Really not that many. And I would argue that, look, dude, relationships, all the relationships I've been in, it's just taxing. They're taxing mentally, physically, time-wise, and emotionally. And you know what it is? Maybe this just makes me an asshole, but whenever people say like, oh, well, I mean, relationships, they're work. You got to put in the work. Or marriage, it's work. It's a work in progress. You got to put in the work. I think, I already work 12 to 15-hour days. Why the fuck would I want to work in my off time? Shouldn't your off time be the time of like, oh, everything is leisure and everything's relaxing? Why would anybody want to say, oh, finally, when I have some time to myself and some leisure time, I can't wait to be in an intellectual and mental and physical and emotional struggle with another human being. That's terrible. And let's all face it, there always is a weird power dynamic in sexual relationships. I wish that wasn't the case, and I'd love it if it just wasn't the case at all, but oftentimes there is. It's like weird patterns of like, well, you play this role, I'll play this role, and I'm going to step outside that role. Oh, now, did that work? Or is there going to be consequences? And, I'm an adult, man. I don't have time for that bullshit. And I think a lot of single people feel the same way. And now we know we're not alone, and there's actually quite a few benefits to being single.